What is up, people? It's the end of Monday. It was a day. Things happened. And today is 100 Days of Making Comics. Day 27. I don't know how I'm keeping count because I usually forget, but apparently I'm not. So, I don't know. Maybe it's not day 27. Is it 27? I don't know. Now I'm second guessing myself. You tell me. I'll tell you. I don't know. Anyways. So, yeah, just, I did my comics work. I was working on the last page of Attack of the Lizard Brain, which, you know, I just did my little half hour or whatever, one of those days. And I can't show you because it's the last page. Come on, I can't show you the last page, can I? I already did show you kind of in different ways. I've showed little peekaboo peeks of it and whatnot, but you know, I'm gonna try to leave the rest of it for the imagination until you can read it. So today I wanted to answer a question that Fue Storm posed to me, and I'm in the Walmart parking lot right now, and you know there's people around, and I feel weird talking, so it is what it is. But yeah, I wanted to talk about a question that he asked, and he was talking about this also in a recent old people freaking me out, yo. He was talking about this in his latest writing episode too, which you definitely got to check out. It's really cool. He talked about a bunch of stuff, and he also gave like a pretty cool tip on how to get unstuck when you're writing something and you just feel like it's not quite feeling right, you know, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, check out his video and check out the podcast we just did. I uploaded it last night, and yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty rad, talking about storytelling. So his question was, and I'm going to kind of go a little bit in not a different direction, but I'm going to add to some of the stuff he asked. He basically asked, you know, what was my opinion on motion comics. And there's a few things. Basically, I'll be honest, like, there's been different things that have been called motion comics, and I don't really know for sure if I know what motion comics are exactly. There's been a few different ways I've seen it kind of done. I've seen, you know, there's like YouTube videos where, you know, people will kind of narrate a comic story and show it as it goes, which I think that's really cool. Like, I want to do that with my comic. I don't think of it as a motion comic. I just think of it as a video narration of my comic, which I think that it's definitely something that I will be doing. Or I don't even know if I'll be the one narrating it. I might hire somebody who's good at talking to do it. You know, I'm not the greatest at that kind of thing, but anyways, I don't know about hire either. I don't got money, but we'll see. But anyways, yeah, that I think is awesome, and I think that people should do that, you know, with their comics, at least like a preview, you know. There's also like these kind of previews that like big companies do, and sometimes, you know, other people do. They do like these comic trailers, and it's kind of action-packed, and some of the graphics from the comic kind of move and stuff like that, or people take like, you know, pieces of the comic and they move it or whatever. Those I think are cool. The thing is about motion comics, anything that is called a motion comic, I feel like it's maybe not a comic anymore. It's something else, but it involves comics. So I don't know. There's that kind of weird thing, and then there's this thing that they used to have on DeviantArt. It was like this, supposedly, I forget if it was called a motion comic or not, but I remember DeviantArt at one point was rolling it out as like, this is like a new thing, and you know, we want you guys to publish them, and we'll help you to make it happen. And so anyways, it was like these comics where you read the comics, but in the individual panels, you read it like, excuse me, you read it like a regular like web comic, but in like the individual panels and things, sometimes certain parts would move and stuff. And I just remember there was one where like this guy's had like no arms or something, but like when his powers went off, he had like psionic arms or something, and I thought it was kind of cool, and they would show it kind of appear in the panel and things like that. And you know, what I saw was pretty cool. So it was like almost like animated GIFs in each panel or something, but not every panel had any movement necessarily. I don't remember. So that I think is really cool. It's a whole nother kind of form of sort of comic. So there's that. And then the other thing, there's like all kinds of different things you can do. There's like there's comic, like there's like just video things you can do that, I don't know, like I just feel like there's a lot of different formats that we haven't really messed with yet, like as a whole in the world. Like, I don't know, there's like cool ways to experiment with telling story. I've often thought about like the idea of doing like a hip-hop musical, animated. I don't know, it's just something I've always thought would be cool, but I don't know that how exactly, if I want to do that anymore or what. There's also just the idea of narrating a prose story, which Fue Storm has actually done. That I think is cool. So there's a lot of different ways we can experiment, I think. But you know, I'm kind of focused on comics, and that's enough for me at the moment. There's also like animatics, things like that. I do feel like I want to experiment with those things, though. I think they're cool, and if any of them take off, you know, in any way, that's a huge opportunity. Because there was one time when comics were new, you know, and that was like people were trying to figure out, how do we make comics work? You know, what are thought bubbles? What are speech bubbles? What are, you know, sound? How do you do sound effects in comics? Like, how do you do this and that? And you know, how do you put the panels? Like, all this stuff was being figured out, you know, as people were making comics at one point, you know, in the early days. And you know, to get in on the ground floor of anything that ends up being big is a great way to, I don't know, it's a really cool thing to do, because the first ones there end up being like the pioneers, you know. Same thing has happened recently in different internet things. You know, the first people to YouTube are the ones who stuck with it, are the ones who really made a huge mark, you know. So yeah, that's kind of how that goes. That's about it, guys. I don't really actually have a lot of time, and I kind of maybe spent more time here than I expected. So yeah, day 27 successfully done. Hopefully I'll be able to get, you know, maybe I'll be able to get a little more done on the comic. We'll see. But for now, I'm signing out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. You guys all rock, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.